And we're going to go further in depth on this issue now. I'm very pleased to be joined now by Ron Hosko, president of the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund, as well as a former assistant director for the FBI. Ron, it's great to talk to you, and good morning and happy Thanksgiving.
Good morning, John. Same to you.
Now, first, before we get into the comments there from Wilson, I wanted to get your reaction to the grand jury deciding not to indict Wilson.
From day one, I thought that the public has been very poorly informed and, in fact, misled on what actually happened on the street on August the 9th. The grand jury's job was to review as much evidence as possible, and that obviously weighed quite heavily in favor of Officer Wilson's use of force in this case. I think that one of the key things the grand jury did here was make credibility determinations. Obviously, physical evidence has great weight, and when you hear other witnesses and Officer Wilson's story start to come into alignment with that physical evidence, it makes for a powerful case.
Now, we seem to, and this is an interpretation here, but the president and Eric Holder, prior to this, kind of maybe putting their thumb on the scale just maybe the slightest little bit, even if not intentionally here. But yesterday, the president, again, commenting on this, deriding those who participated in a violent protest, but at the same time talking about it. Just by talking about it, do you think President Obama is still fanning the flames?
I think it's unfortunate and misguided because there is a pending federal civil rights investigation. And his words do reach that audience of protesters, both the legitimate protesters who are fully entitled to exercise their First Amendment rights, and the opportunists and the criminals among them who are going to take those words as an opening to say, we've been done wrong, something wrong happened. And frankly, I believe that some of those in that crowd aren't the least concerned about what happened to Michael Brown and the engagement with the police in Ferguson or in other places. They're criminals and they're opportunists. They're looking to upgrade their stereo system or get some alcohol or take whatever they want to take or just do damage.
Opportunistic is a great way to describe it. Let's talk a little bit, too, about Brown's own family members caught on camera talking about that. Let's play a sound clip, and I want to get your reaction, Ron, on the other side. Now, that is pretty much what they meant, I think, by yelling fire in a crowded theater, inciting the crowd. That was Michael Brown's stepfather saying, burn the blank down, referring to the community there. Should he face criminal charges?
I think those words and the context has to be examined. To me, there's the full and fair and free exercise of legitimate First Amendment rights that every citizen is entitled to. However, how close to the line was this? I think prosecutors out there ought to take a hard look at it and see if this didn't cross the line. Certainly, they're going to do that if they will, with the current events in mind. Unmistakably, unquestionably, the loss of a child is a very painful event for any parent, regardless of what the child did or didn't do. So I think you have to look at it in those terms. But his words, and then how immediately did action get taken? Did it get taken in the vicinity of his words? Very disappointing and really painful for the good citizens of Ferguson and the community there.
Ron, we got about 30 seconds left. You recently wrote that Darren Wilson is a victim here. He's still on paid administrative leave. This is going to follow him around for the rest of his life. And you're right. We don't want to lose sight of the fact that a life was lost here, and that was Michael Brown. And, of course, there are a lot of emotions with this. But how do you think Wilson did last night defending himself before a nationally televised audience with ABC?
I thought very well. I thought he came off as very credible. He does lay out the case for what happens in policing every day. Violent assaults on the police, people who want to resist, people who want to fight you, take your gun and kill you. I thought he did very well.
All right, Ron Hosko, the former assistant director of the FBI, also the executive director of the Law Enforcement Defense Fund. He'll be right back with us. We're going to continue to talk about this and the president's involvement now with Ferguson when we return right after this short commercial break.